goals are where we're going to start with the race for the Golden Boot.
Don't look away! Breathtaking! And Kane! The king of the manor! And there's Vardy! Oh, how clever's that? Salah! Oh, what a goal! This guy is shining right now. That is one belter! Bruno Fernandes! Oh, my words! Bamford!
Well, it's been good so far, and the race for the Golden Boot is hotting up as we enter into the final stages of the Premier League season. Righty, when you look at those faces up there, there's some players who've still got a fair few goals left in them between now and the end of the season. But if you're in that list, is this, after this international break, is that where your focus really comes in? You've got it in your sights now.
Yeah. Ideally, I was it's funny because I left a message for Patrick Bamford the other day. And I was saying to him, listen, you don't have to win the league to win the Golden Boot. The main thing is to be amongst it, and taking chances. I remember getting down to this kind of stage of the season, and all I would think about is trying to take the half chance, because you know that sometimes you're going to get one created, D.
Yeah.
So you get one created, which you think, yeah, I'll get that one. But if I can sniff one out, that's the difference at this stage of the season. But then you come in and Shearer's got a hat-trick anyway, so it don't make any difference.
Did you get a reply from Patrick Bamford?
Yeah. You know what I mean? I just said to him, listen, Pat, man, it's been a great season for you. Coming from where he's come from and people constantly knocking him, saying he's not going to do it at this level, I said to him, for him to end up with a Golden Boot, I said, you don't have to win the league to win the Golden Boot, so make sure you give yourself every chance.
And the thing that helps players on that list is the ones who take penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be taking them, don't you? There's none of this. No, you're on a hat trick. You have it for someone else. This is where you're getting into selfish levels.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, but if you're a goal scorer and you want to score goals, like there's a few people on that list that probably wouldn't mind passing, letting someone else take the penalty.
Yeah.
But you look at that Harry Kane, he's not letting anyone take that.
No.
Salah, no chance. And as you said there, I always felt like, certainly when we got a penalty, whatever team I was at, I wanted to take the penalties because that's a free shot on goal. That's a free chance. You might not see, and it just keeps it ticking over. Do you know what I mean? Because you're always looking at the kind of stats in terms of, well, I've got one this week. If I don't get one next week, if you get a penalty, you've got to take it. And as I said, there's some very, very good centre forwards on that list. That will...
How many goals near the top, or how many goals away from the top, before you start to think it's too much?
I mean,
you have to look at their fixtures as well.
Yeah, that was the first thing I always looked at. I thought, well, he might get away from me. Because for me personally, I would always look at the other English strikers, because I always felt like you had the kind of superstars like the Thierrys, people like that, who are going to go on and get their goals regardless. But I'm looking, obviously, for myself getting into an international team, outscoring the England centre forward. So I'm looking at my fixtures thinking, well, like January might be a bit dry. I've got Man City, Man United and Liverpool. Thinking, when am I going to... And he's got like, I don't know, it could be like Burnley, whoever. And thinking, when am I going to get my chances? But no, at the same time, all you can keep doing, you kind of find yourself scoring against maybe the teams that you thought, oh, maybe I ain't going to score against, rather than the ones you kind of chalk on off, I'll get one there. So I always found the last 10 games of the season is when it really starts to ramp up.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you look at the list of names, it's not necessarily, there isn't one on there you think they've absolutely blasted it this season. Maybe Mo Salah, you look at him, you're like, still in the hunt for the Golden Boot. You look maybe at Bruno Fernandes with all the penalties that he's taken. That sort of pushes him up as well.
I'm a bit surprised. Like, when I saw the list and I saw Salah was up there, I was like, it doesn't seem like he's had a good season by his standards, but the fact that he's still got 17 and he's up there, you think it just goes to show his ability.
Yeah.
But even with Kane, like, those two are the top two that you would expect to push on now, but Liverpool and Spurs not doing particularly well. You think, are they going to be able to do it? But then even lower down, you've got Vardy. Vardy's probably the goal scorer on a par with those two in terms of that list. He's 5 behind, but like your question to Darren then, I'm sure he's thinking, I can get a hat-trick next week.
Easy.
And then he's back in it.
That's the thing, because he's missed games, and also he was carrying the injury, had the operation, and then has been, setting up goals. Particularly Ian Atcho's been making his way up the leaderboard.
He's one of those strikers that he goes dry and then he goes really streaky, bam, all of a sudden. I'll tell you, me looking at that list, what as a striker, seeing Bruno Fernandes on the, I would not want Bruno Fernandes to beat me as a midfielder, even with the penalties, to beat me as a midfielder with the penalties he's got as a striker. So that's something else that I'll be thinking of. But I really used to go into this stage of the season just thinking about taking half chances.
Yeah, you've got to have it there.
Yeah.
Because it's the idea of sort of individual honours is something that's kind of gained prominence in recent years. But even then, it was, like you said, once you get to the stage where you know what your team's going to do, you know roughly what your club are aiming for, then you can get the personal goals in sight.
You can, and I always felt as a centre forward as well, you get to a point where if you get between, say you've got 5-6 games left of the season, and you get to between 18 and 20 goals, that's a really good season. So you start thinking about anything else as a bonus. You can really start to get your head down and really concentrate on, as Wright said, taking them half chances. And I always felt like you didn't have to chase it. Once you've got to a certain point of the season where, right, the goals are flying in, like if you go through a little bit of a dry spell, that's maybe when you're snatching at chances, it's not quite working. But when you've had a good season, like them guys on the list have had, and you get to a certain point, you don't have to chase it. So it just becomes natural, and then it's about whoever can take the chances at the end of the season. And looking at that list, I mean, as you were saying there, Vardy is quite, he can go red hot. But I think consistently, you have to go look at Kane. He's the one who easily could go, he could score if he really wanted to, every goal, every game from now to the end of the season. So he's probably the one, if I had to bet on somebody on that list to win it, would be Harry Kane.
And the thing is, he just does score all different kinds of goals as well.
Yeah, never ever misses the opportunity to take his strike. Never. You know, when he's in there, he's not looking to pass to anyone. Everything with him is he's shooting in and around this area. You look at the players; they're not even making moves off of him, because look at this now. You're thinking, what's he going to do? He's going to shoot. You know, he's not going to look to square or anything. He's looking to shoot. Look, he's not looking to curl that into the box for somebody to head it in. He's shooting. And when you get to that level, no one says anything. No one says, "Oh, Harry, I was on." They won't say that, because that's it. Once he gets into that zone, he's shooting.
Yeah, and that's not to say that he doesn't do that, especially that relationship with Son that's worked so well up to this point. But if he's got the chance, he's going to take it. And you look at where Harry Kane's playing for Tottenham this season, and even in that slightly deeper role, there was a concern that maybe he wouldn't score as many goals under Mourinho as he would under Pochettino. You could argue that if he played further forward, he may have got more this season, but it's still there. He's still at the top of the board.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show that he's that versatile, that he's just going to score goals whatever we ask him to do. Wright was making the point when he played for England the other day, he was sometimes coming too deep and he should have been in the box, which is surprising for him. Yeah, maybe it's just what he's being told to do, but by and large, you know, Kane for England, Kane for Spurs, whoever the manager is, you can get him to drop off and link up the play and strike up something with Son, or you can make him the focal point of it. And you've got, you know, when Pochettino was there and it was more like Ali and Eriksen behind him as well, whatever you ask him to do, and there's talk about his future now and got maybe different clubs he could go to, it almost doesn't matter. You know, if he were to go to anywhere in the Premier League, it'd be a success. Yeah. Because whatever the manager wants him to do, whether it's stay up there or drop deep, he's shown he can do it.
Is he on that list the most complete striker, do you think?
Yeah.
You probably have to say yeah, I'd say the way he's
because he's top of assists as well. He's top assister.
Top assister as well. Yeah, you have to say that's pretty impressive. Because, you know, I'd like to say how many of those assists are him in the box squaring it to someone else. But he's dropped off and played in Son, and we've seen that. But when you look at, I'd probably say he's probably the most complete there. Yeah.
You were talking about Bruno Fernandes. You'll like this list a little bit better because this is the one that doesn't have penalties included in it. So this is just this is your proper goal scorers, isn't it? This is the one. This is goal scorers for the purists, and it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But again, we've talked about him this season. And the fact that he's played, look, there's only 4 on there for Harry Kane in terms of penalties, talking about, you know, dead ball situations. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you've talked about the development of his position under Carlo Ancelotti and just narrowing down where he plays. Yeah,
he's very much in the box, in between the posts. You look at a lot of his goals, are him being where he is there. Look at him. That is it. One-touch finishes. You know, he's just right in the meat and bone. One of the best leaps, easily, Darren, in the league. Look at him again. Look where he is. And people, you try to say to people about centre forwards and staying in the middle of the goal, but that's where you have to be. And he's got it now. He knows where he's got to be to get the goals. And if you look at all of these goals, look where he is. You know, obviously, you know, with Richarlison and the crosses that they get in Richarlison, you've got James Rodriguez, you've got You know, he's playing balls through. You know, he's got a lot of supply line to him. But if I'm him, you know, winning a Golden Boot, you know, I've won one. You know what I mean? It's one of the proudest things ever. Not scoring penalties, not taking penalties. No one says to me about how many penalties I scored. I scored penalties in that season, but no one said to. And I took off Lee Dixon for that reason. so he's got 14 goals. He's like 3 behind. Everton have had penalties this season. You know, I believe that this will be a breakout season for him. It has been. And winning a Golden Boot, going to the Euros hopefully and kicking on again, is all part of it. I don't know what this not taking penalties thing's all about.
Well, because you said about Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, but
That's
he's a
why.
midfielder. He's a midfielder taking penalties, but I'm talking about a striker. Yeah. Strikers should be taking penalties in their team.
100% as well, because as centre forwards, you don't consistently score goals all season. You always go through a kind of a dry spell, and penalties get you out of that dry spell because it just keeps it ticking over. Because he's been for a period where he didn't score that many, and maybe I think they had 1 or 2 penalties in that period. Now, if he just takes 1 of them or 2 of them, that just keeps it ticking over. And do you know what I mean? So I agree with Wright. As a centre forward or as a striker, you've got to take penalties. Just keep topping it up.
Yeah.
But there's the other element to it. Sorry, but whenever this debate comes up, you think, well, hold on, you're not guaranteed to score a penalty. There are loads of great strikers who haven't got great penalty records, or maybe that's why they don't take them. But you can't take the goals that they have scored away. It's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to score a penalty.
But the thing with that, Sam, is because after all training sessions, I took easily between 15 and 20 penalties. So even when you're going through a dry spell, when you get a penalty, it's so deliberate. It's like the golf shot. You know exactly what you've got to do all the way through it. I knew exactly what my routine was. So oh my God, I've got a penalty and I'm not scoring, I'm not confident. I was so confident because I took so many.
And that's a skill, isn't it? Like maybe the others don't do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
And if you're practicing penalties and a penalty comes, you look at when a penalty comes when somebody is the penalty taker, how quickly they get the ball.
Yeah.
Or even if someone gets it, they go, there you go, you know, because they know that you're the penalty taker.
Yeah. And conversely, when a team goes through a sort of dry spell of missing penalties and you watch them all sort of go, yeah, no, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Man City have been like that. And the thing is, the reason they've gone through that for the last year, 18 months, is because Aguero had a decent record, but not great. He wasn't putting even like 9 out of 10 away, it was probably 7 out of 10. And they thought, maybe we'll find someone else. But they've gone through Sterling, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Rodri took that one against Spurs. Jesus has missed a couple.
I saw the goalkeeper coming up, Sam.
He really
He's
wants to take
desperate
one.
to, isn't he?
But then Aguero got back in the team at Fulham the other week and he took it and it's like, just let him crack on. Because sometimes you just got to just let your main man get on with it.
What about your mate, Patrick Bamford, then? You know, you're a very close associate, and the advice that you've given to him, he has made that leap that people did question whether he was able to do it. How has he done it and why has he done it? How would you explain it?
Manager's faith in him. I think that even with Rodrigo coming, everybody thought that, he's gonna leave him out, but he's been faithful to him in the Championship, been faithful to him in the Premier League. Even when Eddie went there, everybody's thinking he should get more. Eddie should have got more minutes, but his manager likes what he does. He plays on that shoulder, and he's a very good player. He's a very good goal scorer. The thing with him is that because he missed so many chances, you know, it's not natural for a manager to have that much faith in a player that missed so many chances. So when you're playing and you know that, I've missed chances, but the manager's probably going to stick with, that's a beautiful goal. Then you feel confident in the game, Darren, simply because you know I'm not going to get taken off. I'm going to start games, so I might not score one the first couple of chances, but I know I'm going to be on long enough. If I do get a chance, I'll take it. And he himself will say, like he has said, I've missed a lot of chances this season. He should be up there with 17, 18 goals, no danger.
Do you know what it is as well, is that it is a positive. I know he's missing chances and himself would be like, I want to score more. But the positive that he's getting the opportunities, which means his movement is very, very good. And I spoke to Patrick before and he said to me that there have been times where...
Oh, hang on. There's a little bit of rivalry going on here.
Patrick from me.
I spoke to him at the start of the season and he was telling me at times where he'd have maybe a shocker, but Bielsa next game would start him again because he believed in him. And as you said, he saw off Nketiah, and Nketiah was supposed to go there and play minutes. He didn't. Augustine went there, came with this big reputation. He saw him off as well. Rodrigo's gone there, he's not playing. And I really like Patrick. I think it was unfortunate he didn't get his England call up. I think he deserved it. But all he can keep doing is keep playing. And this season here, he's kind of in the unknown, so everything that he does is a surprise. I think we'll really judge Patrick Bamford in the Premier League will be next season when defenders know what he's about. They mark him a little bit closer, don't leave that much space, and that's where we'll be able to tell if maybe he can step up and consistently score goals in the Premier League.
Yeah, and he was so close to that England call-up. Gareth Southgate talked about it. And even then, he was like, look, I'm just at this stage of my career delighted to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I suppose. What else can you say? You don't want to be angry about it and not get in next time.
Exactly.
But it's just
Funny if it was, though.
It's true.
But he must be though, because it's like this is the one before the Euros. I mean, he might get in before the Euros and something might happen.
World Cup's close though. World Cup's close as well.
Yeah, that's true. But he must be thinking, like, you don't know what's coming tomorrow, do you? But he must be thinking, everything I've done this season, what more can I do, kind of thing. But that's where the mentality comes in, isn't it? Just knuckle down and go again.
You're 100% right, because it's one of them where you strike where the iron's hot. Now he's probably thinking in his own head, I can't play as well as I'm playing right now. Like, I might not score again like he's been superb. You look at the hat-trick against Villa, the technique in some of them goals, if that was someone else who'd scored it, we'd be raving about it all season. So he's probably thinking, well, I'm playing as well as I can, and I've just missed out on this squad. Ollie Watkins he's going to be looking at Ollie Watkins, because they're kind of similar, both out the Championship, getting to the national team. He's thinking, well, when is my opportunity going to come?
We're going to talk about Ollie Watkins in just a second as well. Beautifully teed up. Just on Patrick Bamford, and you mentioned his mentality there, and that's almost been... It's not even quite an overt criticism. There's a sort of subtext around Patrick Bamford, and it's maybe because he doesn't have your typical footballer's background, that he is from a wealthy family, that he does have interests outside of football. He does have a range of interests and skills, and was it grade 8 violin or whatever he plays, and that kind of...
In his spare time.
So there's instead of computing it.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe as well as... but there is almost that kind of... That sort of view of him that is, well, he doesn't really need it. So why would he work for it?
I know, and he does work for it. I remember, like I say, when we was down at MK Dons, I've never seen somebody work as hard, because remember, he went from Forest to Chelsea, £1 million. You know what I mean? There's a lot of expectation on him. You know, he's gone to a lot of places on loan, and he worked very, very hard. It's got nothing to do with the background. I think I heard Sean Dyche said something about his background, how he is. Crystal Palace fans, some of them were talking about the way he runs. So they were trying to find different ways to kind of bring him down, and he's had to come through all that. So when you then add into that a manager that has faith in you, when watching him in the Championship a couple of seasons, he was missing a lot of chances, you know, to the fact where the Leeds fans were very, very frustrated. But the manager stayed with him. And now look at him. And I think that I know we're going to talk about Ollie Watkins, but they do play differently. Ollie Watkins just edged it. Maybe, I don't know, because of the way he presses, the way he plays, but we'll speak about that.
We will speak about that. But just to wrap up on the Patrick, I think was it Thomas Muller, who has been interviewed quite a bit this week, who was talking about taking chances. And he said there's no element of luck or instinct really in Australia. It's work. And exactly what you're talking about. It was Thomas Muller, wasn't it? He said you just kind of, you get in the same position, you know where the positions are, and you just practice, and you can learn that skill.
That's Leeds all over, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Leeds are very, like, that's Bielsa. He'll make sure they do. I think Bamford, when I was speaking to him the other night, I think he has the most shots. I think he has the most shots in the Premier League. Yeah. But it's just because it's that patterns of play, and it's what Bielsa drills them in, and that's the whole cult of Bielsa, and that's that all over. And when you mentioned Muller, I was like, because they kind of strike me, not in terms of their abilities, but their kind of gait and their style and just the hair and everything.
There's a gangliness to it,
kind of that, yeah. But that makes 100% sense. Like, now he's in the team. Why is it working out for him now, whereas it didn't before? He's just in a team that suits him down to the ground, and they're creating chances for him. And it's the same movement.
It's the thing. Like, I go back to taking half chances. When you know that they're going to continually come, you can then focus on your technique and the basics of making sure that when this comes, I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to get my foot planted and make sure that I hit the target, all that sort of stuff, instead of the slashing and stuff like that. So, again, when you're playing regularly, you get the opportunity to be able to take those chances, and then you then get opportunities to take half chances, and then the other chances come, all of a sudden you get a hat-trick in a game.
We haven't got to worry about anything else, because he's playing in a team where he knows creates so many chances. It's just about him going, well, if I'm patient enough, it's just about me, can I finish the chances off? Let me relax, because I know one's going to come. If I miss the first one, well, I know another chance is going to come. And as you said, it is repetitive in training. Just keep doing the same thing, because you will start to get the benefits. It might take a while, like it might have done for Patrick, but listen, the rewards will come. Yeah, and then sometimes it's a worry for young players who are developing to hear that being repeated, that it's about instinct. You've got the instincts of a striker, because then they don't realise the amount of that work that you're both talking about that has to go into it, and the work that Ollie Watkins has put into it as well.
And then the faith someone's got to have in you, because, like, when a young striker comes in, like, you look at Ollie Watkins, I remember Dean Smith was doing a lot of talking about, I know what he's capable of doing, the amount of money we spent on him. You know, he had faith. And obviously it came to light when he scored the hat-trick against Liverpool. But when you watched him, you could see everything he was doing as a striker and a centre forward, if he can add goals to that, he's going to be very dangerous, because you've got Grealish, you've got Traore, you've got then Ross Barkley when he was playing well. You've got so much other ingredients to make him succeed. And then his hard work, the fact that he again is very brave in there, he scores. It's going to happen. But then you need a manager that's going to play you and have faith and not worry about the noise that's coming from, oh, he's cost so much, it's a chance, it's a massive chance. And now he's paying off.
Yeah, and it's been tricky for, especially with Jack Grealish being injured as well at the moment. It just means that those chances aren't going to be as frequent as they were with Jack Grealish in the side.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate for him, because him and Jack connected really well. And Ross Barkley's right, he was saying there when he was on fire. But when Jack's got the ball, he attracts one or two players. So that just frees up Ollie Watkins to do his movements, to get him behind, come to feet. But the fact Jack's not been there, teams have paid more attention to Ollie. But because he's got the pace and he's got an eye for goal, I mean, and it is so important that Dean Smith has kind of identified him as, you are my guy. And I don't think you can't underestimate the importance of that. A manager going, I don't care what anyone else is saying, I believe in you. You're the guy who's going to score goals, and that's why he's done so well this season.
He has. He's been really well. He's done really well in a Villa team that, by and large, have outperformed where people thought they might be this season. So.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a bit front-loaded in the sense that they got most of their points at the start of the season, and recently it's dropped off a bit. But I mean, the types of goals he's scoring now, very different to Calvert-Lewin in particular.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of different to Bamford, and if we're trying to work out why he got the nod and Bamford didn't, maybe you can see him more fitting into whatever that England front three is. It's going to be, Rashford, Sancho, Sterling, maybe Foden now when he plays. It's people who can play in different positions, and they can go wide, they can drift in. Maybe that's where Watkins gets the edge a bit, because you see some of the goals he's scoring there, they're from all over.
Well, a lot of the time Brentford, he played from the left sometimes, so I think you're probably right. He's versatile, he can play anywhere across the front three, and I think for Gareth that's perfect. He likes players that don't just play in one set position, that can play fitting all over the place. So yeah, that's probably why he might have got the nod over Bamford.
Before we move on, I don't know if we can see it again, the list of the top goal scorers so far in the Premier League, but I want predictions on who you think is going to go on and be the Golden Boot winner.
I'm probably going to go with Harry Kane, because like Darren said and rightly said, he could probably score a goal in every game from now. But then you look at Mo Salah, he could, just get a hat-trick. So, but I'm going to go with Harry Kane.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Harry Kane.
Yeah. I'd like to see the fixtures. I'd like to see you go through like strikers clearly do.
Yes.
They go, who's going to get this?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
It's difficult with Spurs in it, but it's Kane at the end of the day. They've struggled all season. He's still got the goals, and him against the rest. I still quite fancy Vardy though. If he could get a hat-trick. They're playing City this weekend.
Yeah, that's not going to happen there.
You can't write off Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'm not sure if he realises the importance of him maybe getting a golden boot like that to kick on again. I'd love him to maybe go on a streak and see if he can do it as well.
Maybe that lacks, because he hasn't been in that position, maybe he lacks that belief that it's something that he should be going for.
He doesn't realise the importance of it.
Yeah. Harry Kane, on the other hand,
knows exactly.
As well, I think for Calvert-Lewin as well, it's service. I think Kane can do it himself. He'll get the ball, beat someone, smash, top corner. Calvert-Lewin needs service. So I think if other teams, it might be his teammates, unfortunately, that might let him down in terms of the Golden Boot race, because if they stop him, the source, the supply into the box, he might struggle a little bit.